All right, we'll call the meeting into order. Today's the East Long Meadow Housing Authority, and we are here at the Village Green. So, first on the, we do have all the board members here. So, first on the agenda is the minutes of April of 2019. Has everyone had a chance to read those?
Yep, I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it. 5-0. Next on the agenda is the annual meeting. Oh, it's that time, huh? So it's the elections. So when you want to talk about the annual meeting?
Well, it's time to change things up a little bit, I guess.
So we need to have a nomination for a chairman.
Okay, we can start there.
Or if you
I
want.
can't do it.
No. So.
I'll nominate Joe.
I'll second.
Joe, do you accept? Absolutely. Any other nominations? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So, Joe, you're elected for one more year as the chairman of the board.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next would be
The vice chair?
vice chair.
Keep it the same, you got it already.
That makes nomination.
Vice chair?
Jim was
I'll
the vice
nominate
chair.
Jim.
You nominate Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jim, do you accept it?
Yes.
Any other nominations? Not
You
here.
tell the secretary already, she's doing it.
All in
I
favor?
nominate
Aye.
Now.
Oh, did we get a second on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second was Marilyn,
Okay.
and there was not. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes got it. Congratulations. Next is secretary.
Or treasurer?
I mean treasurer. Do I hear a nomination for treasurer?
But I thought he had to
I
be
can't since
nominated
I'm the
by the
chair.
governor. though.
Excuse me?
No.
The head of the board has to be nominated by the governor.
No.
Not anymore?
No. There's a governor appointment, but I'll explain that
Oh,
afterwards.
that's what I thought.
So now we got nomination for treasurer. Well, I could make it since I'll nominate Danelle for treasurer.
Second.
Second.
Do you
I
accept?
do, yes.
Any other nominations? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you
Do
very
you want
much.
an assistant treasurer?
Yeah, because you got 5, so.
I'll nominate Marilyn.
Assistant treasurer.
Spread it out.
Second it.
Second it. Do you accept?
Sure.
Any other nominations? Not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 5-0. Congratulations. And Vinny, you're our tenant.
Yeah, well, I can't do anything anyway, so I'm a tenant.
Oh, you could always be on a position for
I know.
chairman. All these positions for anybody
I
that's
got no trouble with this position.
so. In
Can't get
regards
anything done, so.
in regards to your question about the governor, I'm the governor appointee. So the governor of the state of Massachusetts for each housing authority has the right to nominate or put somebody in as one of his appointees. So I'm the governor appointee. But at any point in time when my term is up, the governor can put somebody else in or reappoint me.
I mean, we had he's second, right?
Yeah, no, we're all set.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, if the governor's got to appoint him too,
No, the governor appoints one person to the board.
yeah.
Only
So this
one.
is the
Say
election.
something happens to you, he takes over.
If something happens to me, yes, Jim takes over.
And then he's got to be appointed by the
No,
governor.
No.
the
he doesn't
governor
have to-
appointee does not have to be chairman.
I don't have to be the chairman. Anybody, you could be chairman of the board. Anyone. But I'm just saying, at any point in time, anyone, when these are elections, anybody that serves
No,
on the
that's the
board.
way I understood it. I says, you're appointed by the governor, and then we got a vice chairman.
Yeah, no, I'm appointed on the by the governor to serve on the board.
Right.
So now this is the annual meeting in which any one of us could be chairperson, vice chair, treasurer, assistant
Yeah,
treasurer.
okay, thank you.
All right. So next on the agenda that we have is the MRVP income rates.
Is this the one she's got broken down here?
No, it'll be this one that you just passed out.
I thought these was the one. What's this here?
It looks like the minutes.
This from the last meeting, right? This is what you gave me this time. You gave it to me the other day.
Is it April? Yeah. That's
This
the
is
minutes.
the April.
That's
It
the
says the
April.
incomes here.
Right, those are other incomes.
Oh,
That was the fair market rents that we voted, that we had to take into consider that.
yeah, okay.
So these are the
This is for
MRVP.
MRVP. This is for the mobile vouchers that we carry.
Okay.
So you want to talk about it or?
Now, are these net rates or they're,
They are gross rates. We follow the low income. And this is for our 25 units that we have at Brownstone. And I did pencil in the old rates underneath it, so you can see the increase.
45,000?
Looks like 4,000 on one and like 5,000 on the other for two people. We don't have more than two people.
Is that 51 or?
51,650.
Okay.
And we have 25 units at Brownstone.
Correct.
And are they gonna continue to honor our 25?
So far,
So there's been no more talk about that?
none that I know of,
Okay.
but you never know.
So,
So they get that 30% of their income, right?
They do 40%,
Over there, yeah,
because they have to pay for their electricity also.
yeah,
so everyone understands what the MRVP program is.
yeah.
Yes, no, I can give a little
I think you should give a little.
detail. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, because now I'm always putting, unfortunately, Connecticut laws and and all that stuff. So the MRVP, the acronym is the Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program, which is a state-funded program. It's a stepchild of the Section 8 program, in which, as Lynn has mentioned, these are the 25 units that is located at the Brownstone units. I think some of you were here when the president or the executive director came out a couple of years back with the discussions of rents that they've had. So these are income limits that the Department of Housing and Community Development goes through and votes on, and as you can see, based on low income, these are the guidelines. So we have no say of setting income limits. These are all governed by the state of Mass.
That's the top one, right, Joe?
Well, when you read it, you have the 3 tiers. So right now, if you look at the first thing that says Springfield, Mass, you have the extremely low income, which is at $18,650 for one person. Then you have the very low income, which is at
31,000.
$31,050, and then low income is now set at $49,700. And as Lynn has mentioned, any residents that move in there, they have to be eligible under that low income, so they have to be making $49,700 or less to be eligible, and it's all based on their gross income minus any deductions for medical, and the tenants would pay no less than 40% of their income towards the rents.
Right.
So it's the same.
That's for Brownstone.
No less
though.
than
Only for the Brownstone, for the 25
unit.
individuals
Wow.
that we
Evan and Brownstone. Yeah.
So when a person moves out, they come off the MRVP wait list. Lynn draws down their names, or somebody from her office would draw the next eligible person on the wait list. They do the eligibility criteria. As long as they fall into these guidelines, Then they would enter into a contract. Can't remember the term. So they would enter in a contract in which the state will pay X amount of dollars and the tenants will pay X amount of dollars. So if the rent is $1,000, it's, you know, whatever the tenants pay, now that $1,000, whatever that 40% comes out to be, I'll just use a number to make it easy. For, you know, $400, then the state would pay the $600, or the housing authority would be paying on those 25 individuals.
So this is just, they just pick Springfield, right?
Well, we
In the
fall,
Springfield area.
right, we fall under the Springfield area.
How does somebody get in the voucher? Where do they apply for the voucher? Do they have to go to state?
This would be under
The
the,
housing authority.
It's
the centralized, well,
state
state wait
Come
list
to the housing authority.
through the East Long
to
Meadow.
you,
Right.
and there's an application there.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, isn't Springfield federal too?
Well, each housing, not all housing authority, like here, we only are state funded. Yeah, the Springfield Housing Authority, they have both state and federal units. Other towns, Agawam, I can't speak because I believe.
I know West Springfield is a federal too.
West Springfield's both state and federal. So there's 242 housing authorities in the Commonwealth of Mass. Out of that 242, it's been so long since I've been on the Mass Narrow Board. I want to say, I believe there's 100 and, don't quote me, but if I had to guess, I think there's about 142 housing authorities that have both federal and state, and the other 100 are just state, or they could be just federal and not have any federal, not have any state developments. So it's when the housing authority was founded in that community or that town or city, whatever the application that they put in, that's how that housing authority is formed, either state or federal or both combined, federal and state. So, and these are just the guidelines that, you know, the state of Massachusetts have come up and passed, and all we do is we need, you know, it has to be brought to the board and just voted on that we accept it. But we can't say, oh, let's change that 49,700 to 55,000.
It's set by the state.
Yeah.
So you gotta go by what
Yep,
they tell
this
you.
is
You
what
can't
they-
change it.
Nope, you can't fight the Commonwealth, so.
Yeah, I do need a vote on
Yep.
that.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the MRVP Section 8 income limits.
I'll make the
Second.
motion.
You got a second.
Any other further discussion? Not hearing any, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes got it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is parking permits.
If you wanna take a couple minutes and just read it and see what you think.
Is this for all of the projects or just this for every one of them?
What's this down here? It says housing, East Long Meadow Housing Authority title. What does that mean? Or the person that approves it?
I'm not, where are you looking?
On the very bottom.
Oh, it is
Oh,
on
this
this one, the application.
And where are you looking? It says
On the
signature,
application.
the tenant signature, and then under East Long Meadow Housing, it would be whoever at the housing, at the office would sign it, whoever took it in.
All right, okay.
think one question would be is if a individual does buy a new car, should we be charging
Fee.
$5?
That's the one thing that got me too, is the fee. I don't know.
Because we're not charging them when they get the
No.
initial.
Maybe third offense or something like that? Can you, I mean.
No, I would say no. I
No.
agree. If you know, the only thing
Why
I
do
would.
they have to charge them $5 for a sticker?
So,
The only thing I would say is if the windshield was cracked or broken, no fault of theirs, and they're replacing the window, I can.
are they expensive? Are stickers going to be?
I don't know, I haven't,
She
I
hasn't-
looked into them, but I haven't bought any. The more you buy, the less they are, so.
Right. I don't know. I can't see, I don't know. I mean, I can't see that happening too often, but
I mean,
Okay,
I
'cause I
mean,
did
would I be
put,
surprised if
would I-
it did?
it is down here that if a resident sells or transfers possession of a vehicle, he or she must return the sticker issued for that vehicle before a new sticker can be issued for another vehicle.
The only thing I think is that when you have those stickers, if it's like the ones I've purchased,
It's
if
gonna
you
be hard to get off.
well, when you try to scrape them off with the razor blade or something, it's just like when you go to and change your
Registration.
registration sticker, you know, when they do it,
Okay.
they're not going to. These things are not going to peel off. I would. My personal opinion, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the board, is unless you know, for an unforeseen circumstances, I think if there was a transfer of a car, or if they bought a car, or I'm thinking of everything. If a windshield gets broken, you know, numerous times we know
how
that
about
windshield.
if you change your car, you know,
To me, I don't think there should be a charge. That's my
I mean,
personal
you change
opinion.
your car, you
Right,
still
that's what I'm
have your
saying.
parking permit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. When you change your car, there should be no charge of it.
Another parking, except to change the parking number.
And then you know, same thing. You know, I think with the parking permit, it's much different than if there was a lease violation per se, because that's the only thing I could see if you get a broken window, it's no fault of theirs, because when you have the window, you know, AAA coming in or whomever changes the back window, you sell the car, you try to scrape it, you ain't gonna get it. My personal opinion, I can't think of any other reason what would happen to a back window. I think with the cost, you know, I don't believe it costs too much, because you could just buy a bulk,
Can we revise this later if we do find that they're, I mean,
my personal opinion, I think everything looks great in here. I would just strike the $5 charge.
I agree.
Replace the sticker, and, you know.
I wouldn't even have that statement in there.
I agree.
Or any other reason?
That's the only thing I can think of. I can't see any other reason how.
No, if I add other, to replace a sticker for any other reason, except for up above, it says if they're transferring their car.
I think what you want to do is when they transfer the car, that they show you a bill of sale so you can see that they sold the car.
Okay.
You know.
A new registration.
Right. Yeah, because when they have a new car, they need to come in. So if you have an old registration,
The sticker goes with the car.
yeah, I would just strike that out. I think you've got everything else perfectly
I think so too.
in here, and for them to sign. So I would just strike anything in regards to
Fee.
the $5 fee for the sticker.
Wait a minute, do they have to show you registration and then?
Yeah, it's right here.
license?
It's right
Up
here.
there,
Yeah, but do you have to show it to them? One page over here, you put down the last name, first name, and tenant number, and registration and license.
So
And then
Vinny,
the car,
what-
on this side it says here, resident allowed only
Right.
one car. Should we sign this too?
No, what happens is when the tenants will get a copy of this policy, so
Yeah.
they know exactly what's going on. This will go into the tenant's files. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
in the office tenant's file, it's showing, you know, the
I own the
addresses.
car.
Right, I own the car, and there's insurance on the car and everything else.
Okay.
So this is the office use, and this is for tenants. I got that
Okay.
right? Is that what you're planning
Is that
on
what you
doing?
want? Or you wanna show it when you turn this in?
They would get, people would get both. They can't sign the agreement unless they agree to the policy.
Okay. Vehicle owned, registered. Alright,
So I'm fine with this policy.
Yeah.
So then in the agreement, I have a $5 fee too.
Yeah, I would just take,
I agree to that.
that, yeah, I would just take that out, you know,
Okay.
for the sticker,
you know,
but, you know,
I would leave the $50
Yeah.
thing in there though. If
Yeah,
they-
'cause that's-
You can't share it, you can't
Mhm.
sell it, give it to
Yep.
anybody, which I don't expect to happen, but,
no, but anything with the $5 fee in regards to,
yep, I agree.
I would take that out, so I'm fine with that policy. You wanna make a motion to go ahead and
Motion
proceed
to
with the
move
new
forward
park?
with this less the $5 fee.
Do I have a s-
strike the $5 fee.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Not hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So you can put the parking, start going once you strike the $5 fees. Next on the agenda is the performance management review.
The Department of Housing came out yesterday. They were at the office all day.
Oh,
What they looked at is our inspections, our work order systems, our tenant receivables, our spending and what's in our budget and what's in our capital improvement plan, and just to make sure that we're running efficiency. So I haven't gotten the report back yet, but when I do, I will share, but.
If I might say something, I know I didn't put the thing in, but you have a lot of sidewalk which is cracked, some of them are raised. I don't know if you inspected that, but you get a raised sidewalk and somebody trips over it, they're liable to sue, okay?
Well, if there's any raised sidewalks that you know, then you need to call the office and let us know where,
Well,
or I can have the
I
maintenance
got
man
this
meet you.
yesterday, okay? So, but I seen it because I've been doing some walking around and I see other stuff too. We have a lot of ants there and they're coming into my apartment, and this is talking for myself, I don't know if they got little ants coming in and I sprayed them last year. I don't know if you can do anything about that. They have bees, but the grass itself is very bad there.
Do we
Not just in
annually do
front of
spray?
my apartment.
no,
Do we
but,
spray annually? Do we do an annual?
but I think one thing is, so I can just maybe explain a little bit more what the performance so this is basically in-house, checking all the files. They're not coming out and checking the
Right,
property.
right.
So
This is different. I
that's a
know,
separate,
correct.
that's a separate,
I didn't know, okay, I'm just
Oh, no,
bringing
no,
it
I'm
up.
just trying to-
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just trying to do something.
yep, no,
Was this
I
at
just
Quarry
wanna
Hill
live there, I
and
mean, that's
at
what's happening,
Kenwood?
Joe.
no, I understand, but I'm
Right.
just saying, I'm sticking with the agenda and just explaining to you what the performance
Yeah,
management
yeah,
review is, so you
yeah.
can understand, so
But,
I just wanna make sure that the board understands what this is all about, so this is.
Because I don't know what's his name is mowing, but he's not mowing much grass there, you know, and dandelions, oh man, yeah.
How many apartments got chosen for inspection? Randomly, right?
It was a random inspection. Everybody got a notice. Then they picked 4, 5, 6. I think they picked 6 that they told us that they were gonna go see, and they only went and saw 3. 3, I think.
That's what happened last year too, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't bother looking at the grounds, isn't that part of the apartments? I'm
No.
sorry, Joe, I'm
No, no,
just
no.
asking, I
What?
wanna know what's going
I,
on.
mean, I didn't say anything. I was just saying that's what you're asking is a separate question. I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
I'm
I'm
just,
just saying.
yeah, I'm just trying to make sure you understand what the
Yeah,
performance
okay, I
management
understand.
and all that stuff. That's what I want you to understand. What
Yeah, I
that, what we're
understand,
looking.
she's responsible.
So their criteria for coming out is to
They don't,
check apartments randomly for what?
They're checking to see, like, if we have to do inspections once a year.
Mhm.
Then what they do is they pull our inspections They look to see if we wrote any work orders regarding the inspections. They look at the work orders, then they see if the work orders were complete, and then they go to the unit to make sure they were complete and to see if there was anything else that was wrong
That
underneath
clarifies
it.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So kind of like they want to make sure we're doing our due diligence and make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Making sure that we're in existence and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Just like the budget, when we set up a budget and they want to make sure that I'm spending the money appropriate in each one of those categories. They want to make sure all that is being done appropriately and on time.
And once you get the report, you'll share that with the board so we can see if there's anything wrong. I do see we said, well, before we go to the next, I'll make an exception to the agenda since it's not on the agenda, but I do see we have some residents here. But before I open it up to the residents, is there any other business?
No, I think it's great that we're meeting here, and I would like to visit Inward next, if we could.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. I think all the board members too need to see the grounds and walk around and kind of check things out for themselves so that when we're all discussing it here, we all know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Especially, I've
Some
been to all the...
Right, I
Yeah,
know,
so-
but some more people,
Absolutely.
and I mean, this is what I do, this is my job to visit residents,
Absolutely.
so it'd be good for everybody else to kind of see the same things.
So anything else before I open it up to these three lovely residents at the end?
It's very pleasant here. It's a nice fresh air, the birds,
Bunnies, lots of bunnies.
Yeah.
Deer.
And of course the sunshine helps.
Deer, we have
You know
fox.
what I
and
noticed?
coyotes.
Do you
The guy
really?
from
Yeah, very
Teapot,
pleasant,
okay,
very pleasant.
and I got all sorts of squirrels on the end of the apartment, Joe. Well, he leaves the door open, he goes up and down the stairs 6 or 7 times, that door is open all the time. And I told the guy, I said, you can't do that, I said, we got too many animals around here, you're gonna get squirrel, I'm serious.
I'd say that would be terrible.
You know what I'm saying? I had squirrels in my house, you know how tough it is to get them out?
I can only imagine.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Unless they drown in the toilet, like the one in my
Yeah,
house.
drown in the toilet, right.
Mine did.
You were
That's where he
lucky.
ended up.
Oh, you're really
It's
lucky.
a good thing I
Locked him in the
Good thing I
bathroom.
put the bathroom
I
light
didn't
on.
notice, so the lady upstairs says to me, it only comes once a month. I said, it only takes a half hour to get a squirrel
So
in
we're
there.
gonna get
5 minutes.
we're gonna get back on track here,
Okay,
business here.
I'm just.
So anyone, I'll open it up to you three ladies, and I would just say if you'd like to say anything, please just state your name so at least I know who you are and everybody else, and thank you for coming.
I'm
So,
Debbie Proventure. I'm the president of the Tenants Association here.
Debbie, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
Proventure.
I'm Julia Davis. I'm the liaison for the association.
I'm Denise Glanner, I'm the treasurer for the association.
Oh, that's all three of them are here. Wow.
Well, welcome, ladies.
Yeah, it's so
Thank
glad
you
you're
for
here.
Thank you for having us.
How can we help?
If you know any concerns, the only thing I'm going to say, if there's anything in regards to maintenance issues and all that stuff, that this is not the meeting, but anything that you like to bring, questions that I can maybe answer or the executive director can answer. I'm opening it up to you. Usually, in the open meeting, if you're not on the agenda, then I don't do it. But I'm see you three, and I have some time, so that's why I'll be more than glad to take any questions or concerns that you ladies may
In
have.
regards to that parking permit, the permits, when are you gonna implement that?
We just had to make sure we get the policy approved. Now that
Okay.
the policy is approved, we'll be implementing it probably whenever we order stickers.
Okay. And would the sticker be good for the life of your residency here?
That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Can you clarify to them how to get on the agenda, if they wanted to get on the agenda, or? Because I know the question has come
Yeah.
up in the past.
I think it's in their, I believe it's in their tenant handbook.
So one way to get onto the agenda is you need to notify the executive director. The executive director will see what topics
Ms.
you like to talk about. And then the executive director would forward those questions to me, in which I will take a look at it to see if it's sufficed to be on the agenda. And then if it is, I will get back to the executive director, because we have to post the notice to the towns onto its website. So, if you like to be on the agenda at least a week ahead of time, yes.
That's concerning to get the notice when they're gonna have a meeting.
But if they have concerns or anything, if they want to speak on the agenda, anybody that wants to speak on the agenda needs to put it in writing to the executive director, in which, she will take a look at it, forward that information to me. I would take a look at it to see if it's suffice to be on the agenda. And if it is, it's going to be on the notice, and it's posted that you will be on the notice.
The other thing you better tell them, Joe, I get this all the time, okay? People telling me things, I say, when you put something, I said, you gotta go to this booth. I said, you gotta tell her what your problem is. If she doesn't fix it, then you wanna get on the agenda for the meeting. But you can only speak for yourself unless you have somebody elected to speak for everybody. I don't know, that's where I understand. Do you understand? Did I understand it correctly?
My thought was that the tenant association, I know the tenant association here they're pretty strong here. My understanding was that one of the association board members, I suppose, for lack of a better, the tenants could.
Mm-hmm. When you have an
Be on the
association,
agenda.
and I don't want to put Deb on the spot,
Right.
Okay, good.
but for an example, if the association has monthly meetings or whatever, or that you have individuals that come up to Deb and say, Deb, I have this concern, could you bring this up to the meeting? I'm not getting anything with the front office. Same thing I would say is put it in writing, goes to Lynn forwards it to me, I take a look at what you're talking about, and that's when I'll make a decision, yes or no. But the only thing is, when we have these discussions, it's not saying, oh, my neighbor, A and B, and then you're putting out people's names. It's a concern of I call this, because I'm a executive director also in Connecticut, I call these communities. I don't call them developments.
Right.
Village Green here is a lovely community. It's not a development, it's a community. The individuals that live here are, I would say, very unique. I bet you, and everything else. Same thing when you go to Quarry Hill, it's a community, and those individuals, our residents that live up there, are the same thing. Inwood Commons, and so forth. I call these communities. I don't call them developments. I think that's a terrible name, but
Sounds like a business.
Yeah.
but we are housing individuals. You could be my mother, my father, my grandmother, my grandfather, brother, sister, whatever, and all that stuff. We're here to house and do what we can possibly do.
So I could speak for, if there was, say 10 tenants that had a common issue, I could present that to Lynn, and I could speak on behalf of them. I don't have to give names.
That is
Say
correct.
there
I
are a
think that
number
would be
of
the best way
tenants.
to
Yeah.
approach
Yep.
that.
Because
But also, you can speak for yourself if you're not getting anything done.
I have no problem
The
speaking.
way I understand this thing,
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
I mean, maybe I misunderstood the whole thing, and I know they have a tenants association, and they got one gripe, and they're supposed to have two people representing them. But the two people don't do it, okay? They come up to me and says, this is wrong, that's wrong. I says, you got an issue, you gotta go tell
yeah,
Lynn.
and what you're
And then
doing.
if she doesn't solve the issue, you wanna speak to the board.
And what you're doing is correct. You as a tenant commissioner.
I can't do anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. You as a tenant commissioner, you're a part of the board. So when a resident comes up to you and says, A, B, and C, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Saying you need to contact the front office, and if they do it, fine. If they
Joe, a
don't
few
do it,
people ask me why they're using Roundup around there. And I know what's wrong with Roundup, but I said, you gotta go tell Lynn. I said, you're not supposed to use Roundup.
well,
Well,
you-
Yeah, to make this issue.
You know, some people may,
I said they.
some
come and
people
tell me, I
may
said,
like that, some
"No,
people may
I'm
not.
I'm not a sponge. I said, I can't speak for you.
You as all of us here, you know, even with you, me being the governor appointee, you as a tenant commissioner, we are here to set policies and oversee what the housing authorities does. All the day-to-day operations and everything goes through the front office and everything else. So we set the policies. Policies and procedures, and that's, you know, there are going to be tenants that have one side of the story and not the others, but we're not here to handle that. We're here to make sure that we can fight money to get into our communities to make sure that the community doesn't fall apart and everything else. That's what we are here as officials, our responsibilities.
I mean, like I say, I know what my responsibility are, but nobody seemed to come forward. They all want to complain. And so I said, you're telling the wrong guy.
Right, but let's go. I want to go back to Deb since I have it open up to the, you know, Deb and Joy and Denise.
Is the meeting, so the meeting is always available for any tenant to attend? Not to
Yes.
speak, but to attend.
Yes.
But if you
Yes.
gotta say something for yourself, you can do it, okay? But if it's like a maintenance problem or whatever that doesn't get done, then you say, well, I went to Lynn and I made the problems, I tell them my problem, and then the tenant can speak for himself to the board. Am I right or wrong?
Like I'm
Correct.
saying, but you have to be on the agenda. So,
Right,
but it's open.
You gotta.
What I usually do is, as long as I want to take care of housing authority's business first, and if there's time afterwards, I always will open it up. But if I'm just gonna say, you know, I won't pick, you know, I'll pick on Joy now and say, if Joy shows up to what, I'm ready to say my housing authority, you know, shows up at Inwood Commons and, you know, just herself, you know, I will open it up. But any residents can always come in, sit down. Doesn't have to say anything and just listen and take notes and everything else and say, oh, you know what, maybe, you know, this is something I'll bring up next month or something. But it's open to the public.
Okay. And is it always the second Wednesday of the month?
It's the second Wednesday of each month, yes. And now we're going to try to rotate it to the different communities. So, you know.
Not
Which I think is great
necessarily.
because there's so many people here that, I mean, I think if you do come back again, and they do know ahead of time, I can guarantee there's gonna be more people that are gonna come.
Yeah.
And they're not able to get out otherwise without transportation.
No, understood. We tried.
That's nice.
I know you're ready to say something.
Nothing to anything, but I don't even know your name. I hear Joe.
My name is
Scully.
Joseph Diascoli. So I'm the chairman of the board. As you see, I'm the governor appointee.
Okay, thank you.
So I've been on the board for 10 plus years.
Just want to make a little adjustment. My name is Julia, Julia.
Julia, thank you.
Julia.
Danelle, are you the most recent on the?
No,
I am.
we are.
You are,
I
okay.
think.
Alright.
Yeah.
Then I'm after her. Yes.
Then you're after, okay. And I assume there's one tenant commissioner?
The
and
tenant
there's
commissioner,
one-
right.
Yes.
I guess,
well,
no,
I'm the
why
only
don't we
one,
introduce,
though.
why don't we introduce
I'm the
everybody?
only one
Vinny,
The only
Vinny.
one.
for 3 places.
So why
I don't even know what the other places are like.
So why don't we just
Now you
do,
do.
we're just doing introductions for the ladies. So you know Joseph Diascoli.
Yeah.
James Moriarty. I was probably one of the last elected officials probably ever on this
Yeah.
board because it was right before the switch to now we're appointed by the town manager. So I've been on the board for maybe 4 years now.
Oh,
Vincent Mandolini,
Tenant commissioner.
yeah, tenant commissioner, right. Might as well be nothing.
no, don't say that.
That's not
Well, it doesn't matter anyway.
So a member, like one of the people on the board here could be a tenant.
Yeah, so
Well,
under
You know, no offense to the state, but when I took that seminar, they told me you can have as many as 7 on the board. Okay, I don't know if you knew this or not, but when I went to take the thing, the 4 hours and a half that I did all 5 questions at once. Because I didn't wanna put my hands on it again. Well, it's basically from, I think it said 2016. It didn't say anything about having 7 commissioners on a board. Okay, this is what I learned, okay, I'm just saying, if anybody wants to, I don't know, if you get approved by, I don't even think the town manager knows.
So
Sure she
to
does.
Okay, I don't think she knows.
I'm sure she
To
does.
answer Vinnie's question, a housing authority board, you can have as many as less as 3 people, up to 11 on the board. So it depends on what the housing authority's bylaws are. So you could have this housing authority, majority of housing authorities has 5 commissioners. Here in the state of Massachusetts, I'm thinking my Connecticut. I'm sorry, I wear the dual hat. So in the state of Massachusetts, the governor has 1 appointee. There's also a tenant commissioner, and the other 3 are, depending on what the town or city bylaws are, you are elected officials or you're appointed by the town or city. So now, as James has mentioned, when the town of East Long Meadow had converted, now the 3 individuals that will introduce themselves have been appointed by the town. So when and if there's an opening on the tenant commissioner, if and when Vincent decides to say, I don't want to, my term is up, then it will be notified to the residents that we do have a vacancy on the board, and whomever, now with the town, we'll go through the town manager, if you like, to serve on the board. The town will probably interview you, and then
You have to write a letter to her saying, what kind of person you are.
and if it's, if they accept it, they
Oh,
will
sure.
appoint you.
That's
You get
right.
sworn in by Mr. Florence, and then we, Lynn and I will be,
You mentioned taking care of 3 different places, but you live in Quarry Hill?
Well, first of all, the way I understood everything, I was supposed to be shown these places. I think my term is done, I think this year in October. I'm not quite sure. I think I've been on the board now for almost 3 years. And I was told that my term, I was taking it over from somebody that just didn't want to be on the board anymore, okay? So, but I was supposed to be shown around to the places, so I meet the people, show them the houses. I didn't even know we had houses, and showing what kind of places these are. This is my first time here, so.
So there is only one tenant, there is only one tenant.
No, you can have 2.
because we have a board of 5.
Okay.
If we had a board of 7, depending on what is in the bylaws, you could have 2 tenant commissioners. You could have 3. But basically right now it's one tenant
Yeah, but I
tenant
thought you could
commissioner.
have more than one if there's another opening.
But we would, if we have an issue anyway, we would just get on the agenda for it.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, you can't really do too much. I mean, if I have an issue, I have to speak for myself, and I have to kind of tell her first. Then if she doesn't do anything, then I can put a request in to speak to the
Yeah,
board.
just tell her again. That's fine.
Okay?
Also, because you have a tenant association, usually they have a, we call a liaison. They can't be like the president or the treasurer or anything like that. It has to be a separate person. A lot of times they elect someone that will come to all the board meetings and then come back to your meetings and report on what's going on.
So our liaison
Exactly, yeah, Julie.
could.
But
All
you
I'm
can
trying
still
to
attend the
say
meetings
is,
with her, right? She can speak.
Anybody can come.
Yes.
anybody can come, okay?
At any meeting at Quarry Hill and Recamo, wherever it is being held.
I'm Marilyn Gadini. I've lived in East Long Meadow for 43 years. I've been in real estate for over 38, hence my interest in the Housing Authority, and I was appointed, and I'm enjoying it so far. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet
You
you.
too. Welcome.
Do you want to introduce yourself? I'm Danelle Tavella. You all know me.
Yes.
I've been on the board since at the April of 2017, I believe. So, and I've been around for
Yeah,
a little while.
you were there just before me.
Correct.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming to
Our
the end of our
meetings,
meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
I very
good.
much enjoy being
I
there.
like having everybody here too, so you get to see that.
Yeah, but
And you get to see us on TV, so you can see yourself.
And yourself too.
Do it on the phone, it's smaller.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Denise, you have anything?
No, I just wanted to see what this was all about to begin with, so,
But they're all on the board though, at the Tenants Association.
yes.
Yeah, well, the association, that's their own little association
Yeah, I
that they take
understand.
care of everything, so that, you know.
So didn't you just say that they have to have an appointee to speak to
No,
the
they-
board?
Any tenant association can have a liaison that comes
That's
to the
what they
board
should have
meeting
done.
all the time, but anybody can come to the board meeting
Yeah, I understand.
anytime.
And anybody could come to our meeting if they wanted to
Yes.
also,
when
right?
it comes to our
You wanna see how
intense
we do
meeting,
things.
Alright, this is the first Monday of the month.
Yes.
usually.
And they have a full house.
10 o'clock officers meeting, then 11 o'clock to 10.
Well, that's good.
Anything else, ladies?
No.
So, next board meeting would be,
When do we have to have this done for? You're gonna send them out first, right?
I have to correct it, and then we can
Reprint it.
reprint it, right, and then we're gonna implement it.
Okay.
so next board meeting will be scheduled for June 12th.
June 12th, wow.
And I guess you're gonna try to do it for anyone comment if possible, if it's open or not.
Yep, we can try going back there.
Is there a certain place to park for their community room?
At, in the Commons is in front of the community room or in the street.
On the curbside. Is there a curbside there?
Alright. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's 5:18 PM. Thank you, everyone.